What's up? It's Delta, your most humble host for Midnight Prayer Watch. This episode is powered by Smart Media Essentials. Smart Media Essentials offers digital products for entrepreneurs, content creators, and couples. If you are seeking more creative, wealth-building resources and want to ground yourself in key financial basics, our ebooks are the perfect digital product to get tapped into today. You can check out our free resources by accessing the link in the description or by visiting smartjewelsenterprises.org.
All right, y'all, we're here for another very special episode for this current season of Smart Financial Jewelz podcast. I'm your host, Julian Smartrimple, King Jewelz. I'm the founder of Smart Jewelz Enterprises and also of Smart Financial Jewelz, our e-learning and educational platform and agency that hosts the Smart Financial Jewelz podcast, which was created to spread inspiration to young professionals and millennial entrepreneurs who want to learn financial education, wisdom on how to live and travel debt-free. And so you're going to be hearing from a very special guest today on our episode for Smart Financial Jewelz podcast, where you could also listen to this episode on YouTube. You can listen to this episode on any of the locations that you have for your favorite podcast or your favorite artist. You can listen on Wisdom, on Twitter Spaces, on Noom Vibe app, and then also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And so without further ado, we just wanted to get our introductions out. Thanks to everyone who has been rocking with us since season 1 for SFJ. If you have any questions for our very special guests, please add them in the comment section below, and we'll make sure to have any of those questions answered or addressed to our Smart Jewelz Network community. And so I'm about to get ready to bring to the front for today's episode. I came across this young king's YouTube channel, and shout out to YouTube that always highlights a lot of people who are putting in the work internationally. And I came across his page just from doing a simple search on AI and people who are creating AI agencies or AI businesses. And he's actually based out of Dubai. So you're going to be hearing from an international guest that we have today here on the Eastern Hemisphere. We know most of our audience is based out of the U.S. and also out of the Western Hemisphere countries, but you're going to be hearing from someone who is from one of the tech locations that you definitely need to be aware about in the Middle East and also in East Asia. And also that is going to be talking to us about his process and how he started an AI agency and how he is literally broadcasting and chronicalizing his journey towards being a full-fledged founder and also an entrepreneur when it comes to his AI agency. And so without further ado, he goes by the name of Samir Ibrahim, and he is going to be talking to us about how he founded his AI company in, again, Dubai. And so, Samir, how you doing today, brother?
Fantastic, man. I'm very humbled to be here. How about you?
I'm doing well, man. And I forgot to mention the name of Samir's AI company is Obsidian AI. And so, Samir, like, tell our audience a little bit about yourself, King. Like, tell us about your background. Did you grow up in Dubai, or are you from a different country? Like, let people know a little bit about your background.
Sure. So, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, maybe good evening, wherever you are. My name is Samir. I'm 25 years old. I'm born and raised in South Africa, thoroughbred, but I came to Dubai about 8 years ago to finish off my university and my high school. But I was born and raised in South Africa. I grew up with a very multicultural background. My mother, my grandfather, my great grandparents, stretching for about 200 years, were in South Africa. So those are my roots. But I've been in Dubai for like almost 8 years. It's going to be 9 years next year. And as I said, I came here to finish off my high school. My mother got a job here when I was a bit younger, so she brought me over. I was very fortunate to be put into this position, to be in one of the places on the planet where so many people want to be in, where it's tax free. There's a lot of safety, and it's a Muslim country. I'm Muslim as well, so that's another benefit. But I still hold on to my roots. I go home like once, twice a year. I still speak my native language, South African language. But yeah, man, that's just my background.
Absolutely, man. Shout out to SA. I know we meet a lot of people here in Japan and also in Korea that are from South Africa. So big up to all of our South African listeners that are tuning in for today's episode with Samir Ibrahim. And so, Samir, like, talk to us about. Yeah, we gotta give you some hand claps, Samir. We gotta definitely show love to South Africa. But when it comes to technology, like how did you get into tech? Were you in a school that focused on a lot of tech, or did you just have a love or a passion for tech? Like, talk to us about your passion for technology.
So I was from the time I in primary school and from the time I grew up, I was literally the least technologically inclined person you would ever meet. Like if you ask me about, you know, APIs and workflows and this kind of stuff, even like 2 years ago, I would literally have no idea. But the breakthrough for me was in 2022 when ChatGPT was just launched and it became all of the hype. At the time, I was halfway through my university degree. I was 22 at the time. Like everyone, I used it for writing my papers and that kind of thing. Instead of like just prompting and just asking it like, "Are you going to take over the world?" I went a bit further. I went into literally asking the AI, "Okay, how do you work?" Literally asking the most basic questions that you can imagine to the AI. And I learned that way, okay, this is what an LLM is, this is how API keys work, this is how to use Zapier, how to use Make. And then from there, you know, I went into building automations in Zapier and Make.com when those were still the main softwares for automations. And then that opened up the entire world for me. So, you know, I started on ChatGPT and then I moved on to Gemini and then I went to Claude and then I went to Grok, and now I'm so deep into it. I use N8N. I just learned how to use N8N. I build automations, I build chatbots, I build voice agents on things like 11 Labs and Zappy. But yeah, man, I think the passion just comes from a tool that I used that I knew had specific use cases that had proven results for me in university, and then taking it a bit further, and then just the excitement of learning. This is like actual intelligence, which I've always been fascinated with from like sci-fi movies and that kind of thing. But to see it in real life and use it myself, I think that's where everything changed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a beginning that gets people passionate about their industry, which yours would be, of course, AI and tech. And so we always like to hear how our guests got involved in that industry from a young age. And it sounds like you were very passionate early on, which goes to our next question. Like, when did you start to have your wheels turn that this could actually be a career or even industry that you could create a business in? Like, how early on did you start to see the writing on the wall that AI was going to be a major part of the future of tech?
Honestly, probably last year. And there were a lot of people who were like who had agencies who were doing like automations in 2022, like Preston Rhodes on TikTok. At the time, he was one of the biggest guys. But for me, I just didn't see it because it was just like, okay, you're just automating like basic stuff. You know, the world of AI moves so fast, and now we have N8N and agentic AI, which is literally like a person that can think for itself. And then, I spoke to a couple of AI founders and owners who have their own businesses, and I saw some of the solutions that they were building last year, and I'm like, whoa, okay, this is actually real. You know, you have real value from this. You can make more money, you can save more time, and these can be applied at enterprise level. So only from let's say the middle of last year, 2024, I started to see that okay, this was a real viable business model because like any new technology, it does take time for you know um, I would say maturity kind of for people to come in and use the technology and actually create business cases out of it. I would probably say that was the reason why it only took 2 years for me to see how AI could be applied into a business aspect.
Yeah, that's what a lot of us too, within the last 2 to 3 years, I would probably say that we all have seen the importance of AI when it comes to literally planning out your next 3 to 5 years during this era that we can't escape it. We have so many integrations that we've seen from Google to all different types of educational platforms, YouTube even, of course, that owns YouTube with Google, that have started to infuse AI tools into their everyday tools and everyday programs. And so, what are some of the main AI tools that you have seen that even you use for your business? I know you talked about Chat GPT, but like, what are some of the other ones that you would recommend people know about that you even used as a founder for your own AI company?
That's a broad question, man. But I would first say download the major LLMs first. So on your phone right now, if you can get ChatGPT, get Claude AI, get Grok, and then get Gemini. So I'll explain one by one why. So I like to look at them as children. So ChatGPT is like the oldest, you know. He's the most mature, he has the most breadth of knowledge, but he's not really specialized in anything. Right? But he has his uses because obviously he's the oldest, he knows he functions a lot better than the other ones. And then you come to you come to Claude. Claude is now, the nerd. He's very smart. I use Grok, Claude almost daily for, writing content for my clients and scripting out things and even coding for my websites and that kind of thing. It's excellent for those kind of how do you say, like, nerdy kind of things, if that makes sense. So like coding, copywriting, you know, making posts, writing content. That's what Claude is for. It's very smart. It's a nerd. And then you come to the creative side, which is, Gemini. If anyone here is familiar with AI, they know Nano Banana, and they just released the new Nano Banana like 3 days ago, which is the most advanced AI image generation I've ever seen. And that's where Google falls in. Obviously, it has the benefit of, being connected to Google, so it has access to real-time information. But it's like, the second youngest child. It's like it's very creative. It's very, aesthetic. And then you come to Grok. Now, Grok is the youngest child. He's very in touch with social media. Grok is built on social media algorithms. So out of all of the LLMs, Grok has the best access to real-time information on social media. It can do the best research, which I use all the time for when I'm running ads for clients. I go to Grok and I tell it to research on Reddit. What are people asking? So I know how to formulate my copywriting and formulate my ads and that kind of thing. So those are just the LLMs. Now, in terms of other tools, I would say, um, depending on your business, you would probably need NA10 if you're automating anything, because at present, NA10 is the undisputed king when it comes to automation. Like, there's just no other tool touches NA10 when it comes to automation. You can automate anything, and it has agentic AI built in. So that's where that falls in. And for example, if you have like a business where you're answering a lot of like lead calls, or you have like a chatbot, or you have a lot of leads coming in where you need to answer people all the time, I would recommend something like 11 Labs or VAPI, or a chatbot like Chatbase, or something like ChatCipher. Just those kind of tools that can take a lot off your plate. But as a beginner, those three would probably be my main ones. So the LLMs, which is basically your source of information. It's what you talk to daily. Use the voice mode daily. That's what I do. Like, my mom thinks I'm a crazy person because I talk to AI daily, like on voice mode. But it's really helpful. It keeps you up to date. And then you have NA10. So NA10 is the back end of your business, right? That's where everything happens, where you don't need to do that much work. You have the processes and systems in place with NA10. It can think for itself with context and you'll be set. And then you have the front end, which is the chatbots, the voice agents, which takes, again, a lot more off your plate, where you can have more energy to do different things in your business and direct that energy towards things that actually move the needle. Those are the three things I would recommend for people.
Yeah, man, I love that. So for those that are listening, y'all are getting a firsthand masterclass from Samir, who's dropping a ton of jewels on today's episode on the platforms that you need to be aware of and that you also need to download today. We don't mean tomorrow, but today, especially for those who are creators or entrepreneurs or business owners. that you are hearing firsthand how you need to be aware of the right tools to use for AI. And so that goes to one of our next questions too, Samir. And being, of course, from South Africa, and now being in, are you in Abu Dhabi or what part of Dubai?
Business Bay in Dubai.
Okay, got you. So being in Dubai, like what are some of the, let's say, inspirations that you have for seeing how they use tech or how they are integrating technology into their businesses or into their transportation systems in Dubai? Are there anything that people who have not been to Dubai or who have not been to the Middle East would be able to be inspired by from your technology that you've seen?
Let me think about this one. Because I'll be honest, they have been a bit slow to catch up. Like from an AI perspective, the most I've seen is with government application. So my mom was actually working for a company called AI 71, which is funded by the government, which is their proprietary AI business where they implement these kind of solutions, but at a governmental scale. It's not necessarily at like the business level yet, because the market here is very fast paced, and because of the volatility and that kind of thing, people don't really want to invest into that kind of tool just yet. But it's coming up slowly. But I haven't seen anything on like an SME level. It's more still on the corporate level and enterprise level. But in that on those levels, it's mostly just to it's not necessarily simple. It's like a lot more advanced. So it's things like data analytics. I've seen tools where people have medical grade analysis for like patient symptoms and that kind of thing. And I saw another one also where they have like so they use the desert here. We have a lot of desert in Dubai, so they've come up with this autonomous driving thing where it can navigate the dunes itself, and it knows how to plan out routes by itself using artificial intelligence. But there haven't really been like SME level stuff, but it's those are still very inspiring because like you're seeing this being applied in real time. And I'll also add, there's been a program where they're trying to develop flying taxis in Dubai, which use AI to navigate. So I think that kind of implementation is what's keeping me, like okay, this is real, and it has potential.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then I love how even on your channel, that you're very humble and also very open and honest about the highs and lows of starting your own AI company. And so, like for those people who may not follow you on YouTube yet, we know we're going to push them to follow your channel after today. Like, talk to us about what are some of the hurdles that you dealt with early on when you were just getting started. Did you have any issues with funding, self-funding, or did you get outside funding? Talk to people about any of the hiccups or interruptions with getting the actual program up and running, or how you were able to get clients early on. Like, talk to people about some of the pitfalls or struggles.
Sure. I mean, the biggest struggle for me was probably my mindset because, like, I had been practicing marketing and AI. Marketing I've been doing since 2020. AI I'd been doing for 3 years at this point before I started. But the biggest hurdle for me was the mindset. So I didn't believe that anyone would pay me. I didn't believe that anyone would want to work with me. I didn't believe that anyone even had the money, you know. And then when I lost my job in like August, then I really had to make a plan and think properly. Like you have no choice. It's either you make it work or you're gonna end up broke and go back to South Africa. So I had to make it work. And then I shifted my mindset. But then once I started, you know, outreaching and getting clients, which honestly wasn't that hard for me personally, because I'd done like cold calling and cold outreach before. But one of the other hurdles for me was getting like, especially in AI, when clients are using different softwares, it's very hard to like get all of them on the same page because like one client might be using Teams, another client might be using Google, you know. So that's another hurdle, like getting all of them on board and telling them like, look, we have to, you might have to change your software and you might have to implement something different. So there was another smaller kind of hurdle, but I think the main one for me was just mindset and self belief and that kind of thing. I'm still fairly new in my journey. I only have two clients at the moment, so I don't think I have that many hurdles yet. Probably I'll have more when I get more clients, but those are just the two that came up for me so far.
Yeah, no, they're always, like you mentioned, gonna be early on struggles when you're getting something started and breaking ground on a new idea or a new business venture. So we always like to have our listeners understand that it is a process towards being successful as an entrepreneur or a business owner. And so, like, talk to people about your clients. Like, what are some of the ways that you market or go fishing, is what we call it, for new clients? What are some areas that you may advertise your services at? Give people your practical steps and how you advertise or market to new clients.
So the first way, and this might not apply to everyone because it's very niche. So in the UAE and in Dubai and Abu Dhabi especially, there are a lot of South African people. And there are plenty of like WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups of people who are looking for someone that they can trust, someone from their country that speaks the language and understands the communication. So I use that first of all to my advantage. And I'll admit, like marketing agencies in the UAE are genuinely terrible. Like you can ask any business owner, they will tell you the same thing. So I took advantage of that. I went into WhatsApp communities, I went into Facebook groups, and I said, look, I was very honest with them. I said, I lost my job, but I've worked with such and such company, I've got such and such results, and I'll be willing to do freelance. And like three people responded to me, and I signed one guy 2 days after I made that post. And then from there, I said, okay, there is demand and there are people who are willing to pay. So let me build on this. And then that's when I started making my videos on my Instagram, short form. So, and I've had so many people reach out to me from there as well. It's just amazing, man. Documenting, same as YouTube, but just in short form, telling people, sometimes my best video is about not having a job. So it's like sometimes it's just my thoughts, sometimes it's practical advice, sometimes it's what I did that day, but keeping it very raw and very authentic. That's been another major driver for me. And I honestly believe that people coming to you is going to be the next best way to get clients because I've been in cold calling before, I've done cold emailing, and honestly, it's just getting harder and harder with those methods. And I just don't see it to be viable anymore. Like they do work, I'm not going to downplay them, but the amount of effort that you have to put in to get like such little results, like the average conversion rate for a cold calling campaign is like 1%. So that means if you call 100 people, you're likely to only sign one person. Whereas if you make a video on social media, even if you get 100 views, which is not still like on the very low end, what you just spent like about 5 minutes of work, 10 minutes with editing. Those are the two ways that I do it. But I am breaking more like into the cold emailing space, cold DMing, because now I have the brand. People see my face. I can DM people, they respond, they can see what I do. And cold emailing as well. Like once you have results and you cold email people, you can make a guarantee, you can make an offer that says, I'll get you this result in this time frame because you've done it before repeatedly. And then that helps with cold emailing as well. But for beginners, I would say, focus on warm outreach. So if you have a network that exists already with like in your phone or a group of people that you know, maybe it's someone, a friend of a friend, a family member, or something like that. Leverage that first because that's going to be the easiest people that you can convert, and then build your personal brand. You don't need a big one. I only have like 150 followers on Instagram. You don't need that many to get some clients. Document your journey, give people value, and they'll come to you.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. You're doing a great job at that. Even I was able to be inspired and motivated from seeing your clips and videos on YouTube. And that goes to one of our last points that we definitely want to talk about is budgeting. We do talk about finances and budgeting here on our podcast, and like as you being founder and also a startup entrepreneur, like how do you budget your finances? Do you have a side gig that you do on your off time? Do you work for this business that you have started full time? And then also, how do you allocate what you're putting into the business versus you being able to survive and be able to eat? Since you are in Dubai and it's not a cheap country to live in, like tell people about your day to day. How do you survive, and also how do you budget for your business and for yourself?
Yeah, so I mean, for now, and just to give the people context, in Dubai, you pay the entire year's rent up front. Up until now, that was the norm, but they're going to be changing it from next year. So I'm fortunate enough that, my mom, I still live with her, so she pays the whole amount up front, but I still pay her like, you know, rental back. So whenever I sign a client or whatever my revenue is for that month, I immediately take off half of it. Because like you said, Dubai is not cheap, it's very expensive. It's very, very expensive. And I'm actually considering moving back home so I can lower my cost of living. But for the first budgeting part, half of that goes towards rent. Because I know I don't have to pay for, electricity, I don't have to pay for water. So I'm very happy to give half of that to my mom. And then in terms of like the business and where that's allocated, we don't really have that many expenses. The only major expense I'll have is like if I have to go for a client shoot in Abu Dhabi or I have to drive to Dubai, then I have to rent a car, which is like $100 a day, which is not that much. It's only like once or twice a month. So I budget about 200, 300 for that. And then, because it's a service-based business, I'm allocating more of the funds towards my personal brand and that kind of thing. So not necessarily on advertising yet, because we don't have those results that we can say that's repeatable and we can guarantee people, and we aren't that big of a brand yet. So there's no point in doing the outreach in a country like Dubai, in a city like Dubai where people really value the kind of track record. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make financial sense. But in terms of budgeting, rent is probably the biggest expense, the biggest factor, and then the second would be the traveling expense for going up and down, and then smaller expenses like food, self-maintenance, like, getting a haircut or buying that stuff. It's like maybe, I said 25% of what's left over after rent, not that much. I mean, from there, I just save the rest of my money because, if I have to fly home, an emergency or, something happens with my visa and I have to go home immediately, I need to have that cash. So the rest of it goes into savings, and then, my partner and I, we just keep working and keep putting in the sweat every time.
Yeah, that's what we all have to do, especially when you're starting up. Those who are listening, you're hearing firsthand from Samir. You got to do what you got to do, and you also have to have a support system, and also people that you can help have that are helping you throughout the process of getting your business off and running and off the ground. And so, before we get ready to go to our final jewel, Samir, talk to us about really quick the importance of having a support system. I heard you say things like you have a partner that helps you with the business. You also have family that are helping support you with the business. Like how is it an important thing to have as a founder, especially a support system or people that you can rely on so that you don't feel that you're doing everything on your own?
It's, man, it's extremely important. And I'll actually quote a video I saw from Andrew Tate. He says, "You can't do everything by yourself because at the end of the day, you are competing against teams." And that is so true, man. Like, whenever I have calls with clients or like potential calls about my services from LinkedIn, it's always two people, it's always three people. They all partnered up together and they all help each other. And like me and my partner also, he's not that good with AI. Like, he can't even prompt. You know what I mean? So I fulfill that gap for him. But then on the other hand, he's really good with like the sales aspect and like the meetings and that kind of things. He fulfills that for me. So I think it's really important to find someone who, you know, can not amplify, but can fill in the gaps where you are, and can also, you have someone who has your back, and really important because too many people think in entrepreneurship these days that you have to do everything by yourself and you can't trust anyone. And I understand where they come from because we live in a world where people unfortunately do steal ideas, but at the end of the day, you're competing against teams. You might be competing against a team like me, where I'm really good with AI. My guy's really good. My partner's really good with sales. What are you going to do if you're a single person who's not good at either? You know what I mean? So it's extremely important. And with support system also, like I'm not like, it's only my mom who supports me. Like nobody else knows what I'm doing in terms of business. So like family wise, I don't come from the best background because I come from a poor area in Africa. So a lot of my family don't understand what it is to build a business and what it takes to build a business. My mom does because she did it before when I was a child, but unfortunately, she lost her business, but that's another point. So having that support system is imperative. But most of the time, unfortunately, they won't understand because if you are like me, the first generation or the first person in your bloodline who's trying to break that cycle of poverty and trying to be the one who changes the trajectory of your family and your bloodline, it's unfortunately going to be extremely difficult. So if you have that support system where your parents support you or they at least are thinking good of you and they are like, go and try it, go and do it. Even if you fail, we're going to be here for you. That is arguably even more important than a partner because at the end of the day, you only learn through failure. The biggest dependent factor on whether you succeed or not is your ability to come back after you fail. And if you don't have a support system or an environment where failure is not that big of a deal, if you have an environment where people laugh at you when you fail, when you try something new, or people are making fun of you when you don't get something right, when you're doing it for the first time, that's going to destroy your progress. So most important is your family support system and how they understand your goals and how they welcome you after failure. And then second is having a partner, someone who is like your yin and yang, who fulfills your weaknesses, and someone who can have your back and help you with your work, take the workload off. So those are just my 2 cents, man.
No, you're hitting the nail on the head, as we say before that subject about support and not being someone that doesn't accept or want support or help as an entrepreneur and especially as a business owner or founder. And so, Samir, we've come to the last section of our interview for today, which is called our final jewel segment. And we definitely want to have you talk to our audience about Obsidian AI and then to talk to the entrepreneur while you're telling our audience about what your service and your business does and how they need to not give up throughout the process, no matter how successful it may seem at the beginning, or it may not seem successful right at the beginning. Like, talk to that entrepreneur that may be in your shoes or may be struggling to actually go through the entire process and see it all the way through, even if they're not seeing immediate success. Talk to that entrepreneur after telling people about Obsidian AI and also why they should not give up on their dreams or their process.
Sure. So Obsidian AI is an agency with two aspects. So the first branch is marketing, but AI infused. So we do things like paid advertising, we do things like content creation, web design, branding, that kind of thing. But everything we do is fueled by AI. So for example, if I'm running Google ads, like I talked about previously, I use Claude, you know, and I also use like AI landing page builders when I do the Google ads. And then the second branch of Obsidian AI is AI infrastructure. So similar to the examples I gave earlier, we implement, things like AI receptionists. We streamline their processes. We implement AI infrastructure that increases efficiency and reduces costs for businesses. So those are the two branches. Now, when it comes to the entrepreneurship journey, I would say there's no one size fits all approach because for the longest time, and I had been wanting to start a business from 2021. So I watched all of these videos online. I fell for the trap of dropshipping. I fell for the trap of SMMA, like all of those. But and I saw people who were younger than me, or like people who just started and they were like so much more successful. And I was like, my God, I'm never going to do it. But the main thing I would say is that your journey is your journey. And with social media, it's way too easy to compare yourself. But most people on social media are lying to you. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to understand that what you are going through is unique to you. There's no two people who have the same situation. Yes, there are people who have been in your similar situation before who can help you, but there's no one who's in your unique situation because there's nobody like you. So whenever you think about why you're not successful or why you're not doing this or why you can't do that or why you're stuck here, remember that you are going through your journey at your pace. There's no specific set timeline or set limit or set benchmarks for when you need to do this or when you need to achieve that or how you need to do this or how you need to do that. You learn as you go along. Even if you fail 100, 200 times, it doesn't matter. There's a saying my business partner always tells me, he says, first you learn and then you earn. So maybe you'll fail like I did the first 4 times I tried business. I tried dropshipping, I tried SMMA, I tried a Google Ads agency before I did Obsidian AI, but only now on the fourth try I got it right. What if I stopped on try number 3? What would happen? I wouldn't be where I am now, you know? So understand that your journey is your journey. I'm only making money at like 25. Dude. I'm seeing people who are 19. I'm seeing people who are 18 who are making more money than me. But I don't care because I know it's my journey. And you aren't late, you aren't early, you're right on time for yourself. So even if you're struggling, just have that in mind, understand. And as long as you keep improving and you keep looking back on yourself and understanding what you did wrong after you failed or after you tried and it didn't work out, every single time you improve and every single time you make those changes, you're actually making progress because now you know what doesn't work and you're just getting closer to find out what does work. So I would say to every entrepreneur, just to end it off from my end, at the end of the day, entrepreneurship is based on, how do I say it? Let me rephrase, sorry. At the end of the day, it's only over when you decide it's over. So no matter what kind of environment you come from, I come from Africa, dude. I come from a third world country. The town I grew up in is like 5 kilometers away from Soweto, where Mandela was, and that's a
Mm.
township. You know, I grew up without a father. I didn't have anyone who believed in me as a child. People always told me I'm never going to start a business. I'm never going to be successful. If I listened to all of those people and I gave up, I wouldn't be here. So regardless of where you are, even if you failed 1,000 times and you just can't get it right, please, I'm urging you to just learn, try and look at it from a third person perspective. Maybe this isn't the business part for you. Maybe this isn't the business that you need to do. And find people who have done it already. Mentors, find, even if it's just someone older than you that you need to talk to for advice, go and find those people because the problem is not you. It's just you don't know what to do. There's a specific set of actions to become successful. You just need to know which actions to take in which order to be successful. But you're not going to know until you take the wrong ones so you can find it out. So I'll end with entrepreneurs. Every winner is a loser who just tried one more time. And if you can just try one more time and make it better each and every time, eventually, it might not take, it might take a year, it might take 5, but eventually, I guarantee you will be successful.
And that's powerful, brother. That's powerful. Hopefully, y'all had a notebook and y'all were able to capture all the jewels that Samir has been dropping today on our special episode for our season 2 for Smart Financial Jewels podcast. But Samir, let people know, brother, how can they follow you? How can they support you? Where can they see some of your blogs or your videos at on YouTube? Let people know how they can stay in touch with you after today.
Yeah, sure. So the main one is my Instagram. I post on there quite a lot, but I have TikTok as well. And the second one is my YouTube. The YouTube is more of like the long form episodic where I break things down into detail. My Instagram is more short form where you can see me like a couple of times a week. And I'm on LinkedIn as well. My link is in the YouTube channel. You can find me there. I'm mostly giving out like free advice about marketing or AI, but yeah, man, those are the ways. And my website's on there as well if you want to check me out. That's where you can find me.
Absolutely. So y'all see his information on the screen. You could definitely follow Samir on his YouTube at Samir SAMIR.EBRAHIM on his YouTube channel and also on Instagram at its.samir SAMIR.Ibrahim EBRAHIM, and then also his business website. You can follow him and also support his business at Obsidian, OBSIDIAN.CARRD.co. So obsidian.card.co. Definitely go and support this brother. He's on the rise. He's doing some big things already. Coming from South Africa now to Dubai, but you will want to remember his face and also remember his name for his company and his brand, y'all. Samir, it's been a pleasure serving with you today, King. I know we'll be in touch. You enjoy the rest of your week, bro, and we'll be in touch soon, man. Peace.
You too, man. Thank you so much. And if anyone wants to reach out to me with any questions, I'm more than happy to help. Always welcome, man.
Absolutely, brother. We'll be in touch, man. You enjoy the week. Peace, brother.
Take it easy, man.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna do a quick wrap up. You just heard from my very special guest, Samir Ibrahim, who is of South African descent, but actually lives and is working on his dream and his vision, his business in Dubai, y'all. And so, for those who know geography, South Africa is at the bottom of the mother continent, the motherland, and Dubai is in the Middle East. And so that's not a short distance to travel. That's not a short distance to go right next door. He's betting on himself with his business partner, and he to make his dreams of Obsidian AI a reality. You heard firsthand some of his struggles that he talked to us about earlier on with his business, and even how he budgets his finances and also make sure that he's able to still eat and keep the lights on. And so, what are you doing with your vision and your dream to make it a reality? And how are you applying financial wisdom and also financial freedom principles and tactics so that you can not give up or shut down your process before it even starts? You have to think financially and think about what are you going to do to survive and eat when it comes to your business or any business idea. And so put together a budget. We have many financial services that we offer through our business for smartjewelsenterprises.org. And we host this podcast every season so that you all are able to learn more about how to follow your dreams, like a lot of our guests and even myself, who are entrepreneurs and also content creators, documenting the process. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be something that is going to be a microwave effect that will happen tomorrow. But if you have a plan, a solid plan, and if you are able to not give up through the hurdles and the pitfalls and the struggles, because there will be a lot, then you will be successful. You will be successful, young king. You will be successful, young queen that is listening. But you have to plan. You have to put in the work, and you also have to know your finances and how much is it going to cost. Count the cost before you start building is a advid principle, a proverb, a jewel of wisdom when it comes to finances. Count the cost, because if you're not willing to put in that work and not willing to put in that early on work, then you will not be able to reap the benefits and the rewards come the future. And so, shout out to Samir Ibrahim, who dropped those jewels for today's episode. You can stay in touch with us by listening to the Smart Financial Jewels podcast on any streaming platform, on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, and also shout out to our Noon Vibe app crew that is listening with our exclusive Q&A community for the Smart Jewels Network. You could also join our accelerator and also some of our community groups that we have for content creators and entrepreneurs like yourself by going to www.smartjewelz, Jewelz, enterprises.org. That's smartjewelsenterprises.org. And you could also stay in contact with me via YouTube at King Jewelz J. That's King Jewelz Speaks on YouTube. And also you can stay in contact with me on LinkedIn at Julian Smart Rimple. If you like this episode, consider sowing a seed with us. But you can Cash App us at Smart SmartJewelz, or you can join our Patreon community for our Smart Jewels Network, or again, you can be a part of our exclusive Smart VIP Jewels community on our online group in our online circle of Smart Jewels Network content creators and entrepreneurs. And so we will have a lot in store this year for our season ahead. Shout out to all of those who have not given up on their dreams out there, and stay putting in the work, stay hydrated, and also keep your eyes on the prize to make sure that you count the cost for how much is it going to cost for you to be successful in the right way. We've seen many ideas and many people that do it the wrong way, but count the cost early on so that you are able to build and be successful in the right way, which is the righteous way. All right, y'all, I'm King Jewel signing off here. We'll see y'all for our next episode. Stay tuned, stay hydrated, listen to all of our previous episodes from this season of Smart Financial Jewels, and we'll see y'all in the next episode. Peace. This episode is powered by StreamYard. If you want all of your streaming needs and all of your content creator essentials in one place, StreamYard is what we recommend. All of our clients use StreamYard and we use StreamYard too. Get $10 off any of their discounted pricing packages today by clicking the link that is in the show notes. Shout out to StreamYard. What's up, y'all? I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Feel free to like and subscribe to see our next episodes this season that we have coming. Leave us a voice message. We will be having a segment called Ask Jewelz or Ask Financial Jewelz. If any of your personal financial questions that we can answer on our next episodes this season. And so feel free to answer our poll question or to leave a voice message for those who are listening on Spotify. And also check out many of our Smart Financial Jewels resources to help you become debt-free so that you can travel the world and create global impact with us and also with the purpose that you've been given. We'll see you all next episode. Have a great week. Peace. Calling all content creators and entrepreneurs. If you are looking for a network of content creators, entrepreneurs that love to travel, and you are needing assistance in launching a quality live stream show or virtual podcast or standalone podcast, or if you're just wanting to brush up on some content creator essentials, tools, and resources in order for you to receive, you must join the Smart Jewelz Network. You can go to www.smartjewelzenterprises.org and click the link to join our Smart Jewelz Network community in order to travel and see the world while also creating your top quality content.